What's going on, everybody? Just giving everybody a little bit of time to chime in and get in. We finna get ready to get started with Titans and Truth. I apologize for the late start. I try to get everything prepared by 8, but I want to make sure I have everything ready to go for you, so we have a nice fluid show. So we're gonna get started in just a minute. All right, what's going on, everybody?
Down six. Day one is staying down six. Day one is sweeping down six. Day one is staying line them all up, knock them down like this. Yeah, Ayos. Let's welcome these fools to the Uso Penitentiary. Okay, alright. Hey, let's get it, Us. It's not paranoia, it's the Usos.
All right. Good evening, Titan Nation. Let's welcome it in officially to Titans and Truth. I'm your man, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, and we're gonna have a good time tonight. Big ups. I had to play some good music. Y'all know I'm a wrestling fan. I had to play music of my favorite tag team today, and that be them boys, Jimmy and Jay. It's not paranoia, it's the Usos. And believe me, I've been down since day one. So it is cool. They're the new tag champs, 6-time tag team champions. And I had to rep for the Uso Nation because I'm down with it. So that's how we open up the show and everything. So what's up, AZ Mick? What's up, Rizzo? Here you got the new cut. You got the Beast back. That's what's up. Wooddale Outcha, what's going on? K True, what's going on? Welcome in. We're gonna get everybody in here. We're gonna get started. A lot to talk about, but not really much going on. So I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants just a little bit, but we're gonna have a good show nevertheless. I appreciate everybody tuning in with me on this Wednesday evening. I know some of y'all probably finna try to catch that North Carolina Duke game. I'm probably gonna try to listen to some of it too. So believe me when I tell you, y'all see behind me right here. Y'all know who I'm going for. Carolina. I got a rep for the Tar Heels. So I'm hoping the Tar Heels pull out that victory tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I wanted to bring up to start the show this evening is this past weekend, this Saturday, there was the Polar Plunge event took place over at Nissan Stadium, raising money for the Special Olympics of Tennessee, which Coach Mike Vrabel was a part of. He did take part. He partook in that event, was raising money for the Special Olympics, and he not only dove off the platform not once but twice with a backflip into the pool. And so I got to give big ups to definitely to the Tennessee Titans, to Mike Vrabel. I believe John Robinson was in attendance. I believe Amy Adams Strunk was in attendance as well. So big ups to the Titans organization for supporting that big event. A lot of the media who cover the Tennessee Titans also participated in the event. Austin and Zach of A to Z Sports. Also, Buck Rising from 102.5 The Game was also there. TD Teron Davenport, ESPN beat writer for the Titans, he was also there. So that was actually a very good event. I would have went by there. I forgot that it was happening. I was Uber driving at the time, but heard about that event and saw the video, and it was actually really, really cool. That's a great cause to support. So big ups to Titan Nation and to the Tennessee Titans for that. Let's see. Joseph Rodriguez talking about the trading of Joe Flacco. Yes. Now, we did touch a little bit on that last week. The Denver Broncos traded for Joe Flacco, which pretty much signals the end of Case Keenum as the quarterback. And I know I heard something on the radio today, maybe thinking that it's possible. Maybe the Titans look at Case Keenum as a possibility. I don't really know about that. But yes, Denver Broncos get Joe Flacco. Joseph Rodriguez saying it's a joke, was a joke and a death wish for Baltimore. I like that. When I say ooze, you say oh. I'm definitely down for that. So CW saying get Case as a backup. I mean, Case Keenum's not a terrible quarterback. I will say that. I mean, there are many worse options you could go than Case Keenum. Blaine Gabbert. Excuse me for that. I'm sorry. I had a brief cough right there. But there are some worse options that you could go than that. I think, Case Keenum, Tyrod Taylor, Teddy Bridgewater are a couple of good options at backup quarterback. But let's move on to the next story I wanted to talk about. And that is, of course, there was still more football. The AAF continuing. Week 2 was happening. And I got to tell you, I went back, unfortunately, I don't have the networks. I don't have the networks that show the games, but I am able to watch some of the highlights, basically like a quick show of the game as it quickly goes through. And I have to admit, the football has gotten better. The football is picking up. And, of course, I'm going to start with my hometown team, the Memphis Express. Played a lot better this week, this past Saturday than they did last Sunday. But they fell to the Arizona Hotshots. I believe the final score was 25-18, if I'm not mistaken on that. So they fall to 0-2. The Hotshots are now 2-0. But Memphis did play a lot better in this game. Former Rams running back and former Vanderbilt standout Zach Stacy went over 100 yards rushing. Hackenberg played a little bit better, but not the way that you would want to play it. But the defense held strong. But once again, the offense kind of sputtered in the second half, and the defense ran out of gas because the Express were up 18-6 in the second half. And then just could not hold it. The defense got tired. The hot shots got hot. And that's how they lost the game. So, Zach Stacy scores the first Express touchdown in AAF history. But all for naught, they fall at home 25-18. But I'm going to still keep watching. I think the Express are getting better. One of the best game, probably the best game of the weekend that I looked at was the 2-0 Orlando Apollos beating the San Antonio Commanders 37-29. That was a high-scoring game. I mean, both teams looked really, really good. The Apollos looked like the best team in the AAF. They got a emerging star in wide receiver Charles Johnson. Garrett Gilbert looks good as a quarterback. Steve Spurrier doing a very good job down there in Orlando. So a very nice 2-0 team there with the Apollos. And the Commanders are going to be good too at 1-1. I think they're going to be very good. The team that you got to watch out for, that's the sleeper team of all of this. You got Arizona at 2-0. You got Orlando at 2-0. But the team that everybody says is the sleeper team is the Birmingham Iron. The Iron 12-9 win over the Salt Lake Stallions to quietly go to 2-0. And they're probably going to be the 2-0 team that really nobody is talking about. A lot of people are going to talk about the Apollos, and a lot of people are probably going to talk about the Hot Shots. But Birmingham is coming. Birmingham at 2-0. Salt Lake dropped to 0-2. I didn't get to watch a lot of those highlights. I just saw the final score. But Birmingham, very good with Luis Perez down there at quarterback. And last but not least, congratulations to the San Diego Fleet getting their first win of the year, beating the Atlanta Legends 24-12. And I have to admit, I think they do have a quarterback in Mr. Nelson, because Baravici did not look good against the Commanders last week. But Nelson looked pretty decent, but they got a couple of good running backs in Watson and Garner, who ran pretty well. I want to give a shout-out to Atlanta Legends running back Akram Watley. Had a couple of nice runs, former Tennessee Titan. I hate they didn't keep him, but I'm glad he's getting a shot with the Legends. But they fell short to the San Diego Fleet 24-12. The Fleet 1-1. Atlanta now 0-2 on the year. So, I like the football playing that's happening with AAF, but the problem is they're having some financial problems. Comes to find out, week 1, they did not make payroll, or they had some kind of a glitch where all the players did not get paid or were paid late as far as getting their paychecks. And so the report came out a few days ago that the AAF almost missed payroll for week 2 as well. So they nearly missed payroll, but got some help from the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes NHL team, Mr. Tom Dundon, who invested $250 million so that the players get paid and that the AAF makes payroll. And so because of that, the AAF have named Mr. Dundon the new chairman of the AAF to help run it along with, I think, Mr. Craig Ebersol. I think I got his name right. And, of course, former Colts GM and executive Bill Polian. So they had to get some help to make payroll. So, I mean, that's a pretty big issue if you're not able to make payroll and able to play your players, because even players love the game of football. They like getting paid. And so if you're not able to pay them every week, that's a problem. And that could be a problem that could hurt the AAF going forward. So, I mean, they better get their act together financially for this league to survive and sustain. Now, they were supposed to have a 5 and 10-year plan to sustain and survive. But if you're already having trouble a couple of weeks in to your first season, it's not looking too good. You're going to be heading the way of the XFL the first time, and you're going to go under after 1 year. And you don't want that to happen, because they're not trying to compete with the NFL. They might be helping the NFL. So they need to get that together financially. So that's basically what happened there. I'm going to go back with some comments. CW saying Case Keenum won a lot of games for the Vikings. Tyler saying, who we picking up in free agency wide receiver wise? CW saying, I would love Golden Tate. Tyler says, sound like our new offensive coordinator is going to be about the run. Former lineman in college. We need to get better at the pass. I agree with that. Matt Necrone, my boy Matt, Mr. RPO, says the XFL won't have the problem. won't have that problem. Now, I think with the XFL, and they'll be debuting next year, I think Vince McMahon has learned his lessons from before and learned from the past, so he won't make that same mistake twice. And so with that, if he's learned from that mistake, then yes, the XFL should be able to thrive. Now, the one thing about the XFL, Vince McMahon is a man of competition. He's going to be competing with the NFL. He ain't going to be trying to just help the NFL. He's going to try to compete and be as good as the NFL. I don't know if he'll be successful with that, but we all know Vince McMahon. He ain't for to back down to nobody or no corporation. He will go at the big dogs and try to compete with them. So we're going to see how the XFL goes. CW said, well, if it works, why not? But he better have a lot of good pass plays. And if he does not, the NFL should give the AAF a loan, since they'll be pretty much going to be a development league. Now, that is a valuable point, that maybe the NFL does help the AAF out if they do become the NFL's development league. And that can very well happen because, let's take a look at this. The AAF has a 10-game schedule. Their championship game will be on the Saturday of the last day of the draft. So on April 27th, the last day of the draft, is also the championship game of the AAF. So a lot of players who maybe could be potential draft prospects, if are allowed, could play in the AAF to help their draft stock. Now, of course, the AAF, if that were to happen, they may have to cut out a week where, like how the NHL hockey season, they have a mandatory break. They have a mandatory week break or something like that. And they definitely do that around the Olympics, where they have a mandatory break. You have an all-star break in, all other sports. Maybe they do that for the AAF for those players to go to the combine and perform as well. So, that could be possible. Maybe we'll see if something like that develops, but I don't know if that'll happen. That's just an idea. But I like the AAF from what I've seen. Some of the football that I've seen, I think it's getting better. I definitely hope to watch a couple of live games. I'm hoping next week I go down and watch the Memphis Express. I believe they'll be taking on the San Diego Fleet, not this Sunday, not this weekend, but next weekend. I think this weekend they're taking it on the Atlanta Legends. Hopefully they can get their first win of the year. So hopefully I get to check out a couple of Express games live. Let's see. Before I go into the combine, talking about the combine, looks like there's a couple of questions here. CW saying, who do you think, what do you think about the tight safety position? Keep Cyprien and Vaccaro. And let me answer that question. I talked about this before on 102.5 The Game yesterday. And Jared and the GM, they were talking about this position. They were talking about Cyprien and Vaccaro. And what I said was, and this is what I believe, Vaccaro has to come back. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Kenny Vaccaro must be re-signed to this team. If that means cutting Jonathan Cyprien altogether, hey, I understand that. You save $5.2 million in cap savings, and you can give that money to Kenny Vaccaro. Now, the only way I will bring Cyprien back, and again, I like Sip. He's a nice guy. He follows me on Instagram. He does a lot in the community. Definitely a team player. He wants to come back and prove himself. He wants to show that he's back from the injury. And in a small way, I hope they give him the opportunity. I'd like to see them keep all three, but Kenny Vaccaro must be signed. And the only way I keep Cyprien, that contract has to be restructured. He has to accept a pay cut. If he's willing to accept a pay cut, maybe come down from $6 million to maybe $4 million or maybe $3 million, then I'll keep Cyprien along with Vaccaro and Byard. But if Cyprien does not accept that, then he's got to go. He's got to go. Vaccaro's got to stay, without a doubt. If I'm choosing between Vaccaro and Cyprian, I'm choosing Kenny Vaccaro 100 times out of 100 times. No questions asked. And so I think also there was a question about the wide receivers. Tyler mentioned that. I know CW said he would love Golden Tate. I would like Golden Tate too. This morning I was listening on the radio with Buck Rising on 102.5 The Game, and also he hosts Tackling Music City. That podcast, you should definitely check that out. I'm gonna try to see if I can get Buck on the show one day or one night. I think I'm one of his favorite callers, kind of. So Buck Rising, shout out to you. As far as that's concerned, they were talking about Antonio Brown. And, could there be a scenario where the Titans bring him in? Now, me personally, I think there's about a 5% chance that John Robinson even picks up the phone and kicks the tires about Antonio Brown. I mean, don't get me wrong. Antonio Brown is an amazing talent on the field, without a doubt. And he would definitely make this offense a hell of a lot better. And he would make Marcus Mariota's life a lot easier. He would make Corey Davis's life a lot easier. He would make Delaney Walker's life a lot easier. However, there's going to be a whole lot of baggage that comes along with Antonio Brown. We talked about this ad nauseum last week's show. On last week's show, you could go back and listen to episode 82. We talked about Antonio Brown at length, so I'm not really going to stay on this one very long. But basically, they said, you know what? If you could get him for a third-round pick, why not? Why not go all in? Try to win. You got to beat Indianapolis. You got to beat Houston. They got plenty of cap space in front of you. Why not take a chance on Antonio Brown? The talent is there only if your locker room is strong enough to take on his personality. If Mike Vrabel and John Robinson are strong enough to handle that, then you could definitely bring AB in, and he would be a big-time lift to this offense. But he is a diva. He is a head case. He's going to cause some problems. And as soon as the ball isn't being thrown to him enough, or if Blaine Gabbert has to come into the game at any point, hopefully Blaine Gabbert's not the quarterback, Antonio Brown's going to go on Twitter and talk crap. That's just what he's going to do. So you got to see if the pros outweigh the cons. The good on-field production outweighs the diva headache that he's going to be. And CW mentioning that, Arthur Smith seems like he's very dedicated to the run and dedicated to Derrick Henry. I don't know if that's going to go over well with Antonio Brown either. Antonio Brown's going to want to probably go to a team that's pass heavy. They were talking about Indianapolis and Houston and San Francisco. Those are teams that pass the ball a lot more than the Tennessee Titans do. So I don't know. We'll find out. But like I said, I think there's about a 5% chance John Robinson even entertains that idea. I just don't know. He's not a team first guy. He's a me first guy. And you've heard John Robinson say over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. What has he always said? Dependable, tough, team first. Does Antonio Brown emphasize any of those three? Tough? Probably. On the football field, dependable? Probably. Team first? No. Definitely not. So we'll definitely have to see about that. Let's see. Joseph saying the XFL was trash. The Arena League is better. I want the Nashville Cats back. Yeah, I remember the Arena League with the Nashville Cats. Of course, being in Memphis, they had a team, the Memphis Pharaohs, for like a year. I hate that didn't last very long with that, but the Arena League was pretty cool. CW said, I agree. I like Kenny and use Sip as a kind of a nickel linebacker. Tyler says that Hollywood kid is hurt. Ain't going to do combine or pro day. Where do you see him falling in the draft? He's got that speed. I've heard second, third round. Now, that depends. with Hollywood Brown because he's had foot surgery, it's a Lisfranc injury, so that's right. He's not going to be at the combine or his pro day, but that may not hurt his draft stock much because it's been reported that he'll be ready for training camp. Now, I think he could fall to the second round. I don't know if he'll fall as far as the third round, but I think depending on what you do in free agency, if he's sitting there at 51 for the Titans in the second round, I might take a chance on that. That guy does have speed, but we got to see, to have speed, you got to have your feet. And a foot injury will definitely hurt your speed. So we'll have to see if he has his legs under him. And we'll have to see if he's going to still have that same speed coming back. So, we took Corey Davis at 5 despite an injury, and he didn't perform at the combine or his pro day either. And that didn't stop us from taking him 5 overall. And I think we're finally starting to reap some benefits of that. Let's see. It's really against the grain for the Titans. And I agree with that with Antonio Brown. They were saying that on the radio. The Titans are a team, John Robinson, they don't like taking a lot of risk. Yes, John Robinson has made some trades. He's made some calculated trades. So he's taken a few risks, but not a risk this big. So, and that could be to their detriment, as Buck Rising and the gang said. So, if you're trying to win now, and if you're trying to win the division and beat the Indianapolis Colts, which you have not been able to do against Andrew Luck, or beat the Texans consistently and win the division, which those teams are going to get better, and they're already good. Texans have over $70 million in cap space. The Colts have the most cap space. They could go get anybody they want. Le'Veon Bell is a free agent now. And he's already said he will want to go to the Indianapolis Colts. He might get Antonio Brown to go with him. And if that's the case, you might as well not even show up to play the Colts. You might as well just count that as 2 losses. Because if they have Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, there's no way you're beating the Colts. The Colts could go 13-3 and maybe even have a shot at going undefeated. Not going to count that much. I hope I jinxed that. But let's see. CW said, if you bring in AB, it will put you down under $15 million in cap space, and we have got a lot more holes on the roster. True. That is something that was mentioned. His salary would be about $12 million, but his cap hit would be over $20 million. So something would have to be restructured for Antonio Brown to come here with that so it doesn't hurt against the cap. But, if you're close and you do smart with your money, cut some – if you cut some players like a Cyprian, a Ben Jones, I think there was a couple other players. I can't remember who else. Darren Bates is another guy. You cut some players, you could probably gain another 15 to 20 million in cap space, and you may be able to absorb that. But that is true. He is a big cap hit. Classic Rod says AB is probably going to San Francisco. I know he said he wouldn't mind going out there. CW says, what do you think of Andy Isabella? If he's on the board in the second round, would you draft him? I'm not sure about him. I haven't seen much of his highlights. I'm thinking you're talking about the wide receiver from UMass, if I'm not mistaken. So I will have to take a look at some highlights of him. I don't know if I'm taking another UMass product because, we got Tajay Sharp, and he's okay, but not great. Let's see. CW said Titans would have beaten the Colts with a backup quarterback, but he threw that rookie in INT. So the Titans are not that far off. Just injuries hurt them. And that's true. Injuries plagued us all year, and we still finished 9-7 and almost made the playoffs. If we didn't have those injuries, I think we're 11-5, maybe even 12-4. And you usually don't have the injury bug hit you that hard twice, 2 seasons in a row. Let's see about that. Next week, the NFL Combine kicks off next week. So next week you got the Combine. The first players will start arriving on Tuesday the 26th. And I'm actually pulling up some information on that. So let's see. Give me just a second. Okay, so the combine officially kicks off on the 26th. You have some arrivals, and everything. So first off will be the first group will be you got your kickers and punters, you got special teams players, offensive linemen, and also running backs. So those will be the first players to arrive on Tuesday the 26th. Of course, they'll have interviews and stuff like that, and then the next day they'll have some measurements and they have the Wonderlic testing and psychological testing, and then the offensive linemen and running backs will do bench press and workouts. So they have interviews, and then on that Friday, March the 1st, will be the first on-field workouts, and that will be offensive line and running backs. Then on Wednesday the 27th, you have the tight ends, the quarterbacks, and the wide receivers showing up on March the 27th. Of course, you have opening interviews, registration. They're going to do some exams on injuries and stuff like that, medical, which will be very important. Then they'll have interviews and talk to the media. And then the next couple of days after that, you have workouts. So tight ends and wide receivers will come in on Wednesday the 27th, and they'll be on the field Saturday, March the 2nd. On day 3, on Thursday the 28th, that's when you have defensive line and linebackers. So I think the Titans are really going to be paying attention a little bit on Tuesday. The brass will definitely be there. John Robinson, Mike Vrabel, Arthur Smith. A lot of the Titans brass will be in attendance at that. I think, tight ends, I think wide receivers, they're definitely going to be looking at. But the big days are going to be on Sunday for the Tennessee Titans. That's when the defensive line and linebackers work out. That is going to be a huge day for the Tennessee Titans. So that's going to be a day I'm going to try to get some footage and try to watch. And then on Friday, March the 1st, will be the defensive backs, the safeties, and the corners. And then, of course, they'll work out on Monday, the last day. So that's the combine. Well over 300 players are going to be there participating. Of course, Hollywood Brown will not be there because of injury. Jeffrey Simmons is not going to be there because of injury. I hope Simmons is there in round 2. I would steal him at round 2. I don't mind him missing a year if he comes back and him and Jarrell Casey could cause some havoc. So I will be okay with that. Let's see. Tyler says, what's more important, a guy to pair with Casey on the line or a guy to replace Arakpo? Both. Both are important. You got to have both. We need a guy to replace Arakpo to go alongside Harold Landry because it's not guaranteed Derek Morgan's coming back either. So you got to have a guy that goes besides Landry. Somebody like maybe a Montez Sweat or Ja'Kai Polite, somebody like that. And I've been looking at some film early on. I like a little bit of what I've seen from Ja'Kai Polite. I'm going to look at some stuff on Montez Sweat if he's possible to be there. I looked a little bit at Brian Burns. I'm going to look at some more at him. I wasn't very impressed with what I saw from Brian Burns, but I'm going to look some more just to see if I'm wrong. But you got to have both, definitely. And CW agreeing with me saying we need both. He says sign Grady Jarrett or draft a dominant defensive lineman. Sign Jadeveon Clowney or Anthony Barr. I'm good with either of those positions. Now, Grady Jarrett, I don't know if he's going to get out of Atlanta, but that would be a nice pickup, possibly. I, for one, would go for Danny Shelton if he's not re-signed by the New England Patriots and maybe Trey Flowers. Also, Jadeveon Clowney is probably getting, of course, the franchise tag period started yesterday, and rumor had it that Houston is probably going to franchise Jadeveon Clowney, so he's probably not going anywhere. I think he's going to be franchised. DeMarcus Lawrence in Dallas is going to get franchised. I think D Ford's going to get franchised in Kansas City, and Frank Clark in Seattle is going to get franchised. So those guys are going to be off the board already. Anthony Barr is an interesting player if he's not franchised. He was a guy that I looked at back when he was going through his draft process. He was the guy that I was looking at as a potential guy to come in. I know he's a guy. Darius Smith is another guy that a lot of people are thinking about and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's definitely some pass rushers out there that we could definitely take a look at. Joseph says the Nashville Predators, GM David Boyle and John Robinson need to have their checkbooks ready real soon so they can get the right guys. Now, I agree. David Boyle has done a very good job with the Predators, but they're going to have to make another move. They're going to push for the playoffs because right now they're not being consistent enough, but they're still in a hunt. And, you know, they got to get ready. They better get it kicking into high gear before they go into the playoffs, which they'll probably end up playing like St. Louis in the first round. And that's not going to be an easy out because, sorry about that, because St. Louis is on a roll. St. Louis is doing really, really good right now. Sorry about that. I had to adjust for a second because they've won like 11 games in a row. So St. Louis, the Blues are hot and they need to get together. And I mean, I've been hearing rumors of a guy named Matt Duchene who plays for the Ottawa Senators, is a guy that not only are the Predators interested in, but Duchene wants to come to Nashville. So maybe that does happen and Paul can make that happen. But John Robinson definitely has got to make some moves. This is a huge offseason. You know, he's got to make the right moves in free agency, the draft here in Nashville. You got to make a splash. You got to be productive. So I definitely agree with that. Tyler said, I meant more in the draft. Would you be first to take? I don't know. It depends on which moves they make in free agency. I said it before. I would double down. I would go pass rusher, then defensive lineman, or vice versa. You know, get one in the first round, get the other in the second round. So I say double down. Because again, like I said before, and I said it on 102.5 The Game, you got to build a team that can beat Andrew Luck and beat Deshaun Watson. You've got to make a team that can get to Andrew Luck and hit him and put him on his ass. Same thing with Deshaun Watson. Put him on his ass. That's what you got to do. And you've got to build a defense that is capable of that. So I would double down. Definitely. CW saying Jacob Polite's first step is nasty. It is. He does have a very good first step. What I've noticed is he does tend to disengage on run plays. On pass plays, he's big. But on run plays, unless it's going to his side, he seems a little bit disengaged. Now, comment on here if I'm wrong. But that's just from what I saw initially. But I'm going to go back and take a look at some more film and break down a little bit further. Thoughts on N'Keal Harry? You know what? I haven't heard N'Keal Harry's name mentioned in the first round anymore. At first he was, but now he might be getting pushed back. But I got to take a look at some stuff on him as well. CW said, I like Trey Flowers. Very solid. Tyler says, Mario has a crappy year this year. If he gets hurt again, would you drop him or give him a contract? I don't know. If he gets hurt again, that's it. I'm out on Marcus. But I'm giving him this chance. He's better prove himself. Make it through 16 games. If he does, I give him a deal. If he doesn't, hey, 2020's got a big draft class. We're drafting a quarterback. And CW said, I would not. This is his last chance to be his Titans quarterback if he messes up in 2019. Yeah, I agree. He's out. Classic Rod, I would never take D4. Dude likes to line up in the neutral zone. I agree. He did lose that game for the Chiefs against the Patriots. Line up onside, they win. So I agree. But he's going to get tagged. And Ndamukong Suh, if he does not stay in LA, I'd like to see the Titans go for him again because they were very close to signing him. I think if he leaves, I think Ndamukong Suh would like to come here. Obviously, he had a good visit before, and they need help on the defensive line. So I think Ndamukong Suh would love to come here. So if at first you don't succeed, try again with that. So thanks for that, Shaolin. Fantastic. But yeah, I agree. If Suh gets out of LA, go after him. Go get him. You can sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal. If it doesn't work out, cut him after 1. And that's how I would do it. Robert Ryder, I talked about Kenny Vaccaro earlier. You could definitely go back and listen to the earlier part. I want Kenny Vaccaro back. CW Sue for around $7 million a year. I don't know about that. It's probably going to cost a little bit more to get Sue. He had a 1 year deal, $14 million. So, it's going to be at least $10 million to get Sue. Tyler said, wouldn't Sue want a lot of money? I think he's on a down slope. I don't know. He's going to probably want a little bit more money. He made $14 million for 1 year. We'll probably try to offer about $12, $13 million ourselves. But I would do it on a 2-year deal, or a 2, maybe 3-year deal. We can opt out after the first year if something doesn't go right. That's just me. But I think he would definitely cost at least $10 million, without a doubt. Last but not least, some mock drafts. I've been taking a look at a few mock drafts and seeing where some guys have Tennessee marked. I looked at a mock draft. I believe it's Tat Sports on YouTube. They do a very good job analyzing a lot of stuff in sports. They had us taking Montez Sweat with the 19th pick and staying put. I don't know if Sweat makes it that far. If he does, if Sweat is sitting there at 19, I'm jumping all over that. I would take Montez Sweat without thinking twice. Yes, I know Dexter Lawrence may still be on the board. Jacob Polite might still be on the board. But I would jump at Montez Sweat. Charlie Casserly came out and his mock draft had us taking Dexter Lawrence at 19. It depends if there's a run on defensive linemen. I think Dexter Lawrence could be there in the second round, depending on how he does in the combine, but I would not mind that pick. Mel Kiper said Christian Wilkins. That was his pick. And I really like that pick as well. I think Christian Wilkins can be a game wrecker alongside Jarrell Casey. Him or Dexter Lawrence would be huge beside Jarrell Casey on the other side in a 3-4. So, if you had Casey, Danny Sheldon in the middle, and even a Dexter Lawrence or a Christian Wilkins, I like that defensive line. I really like that defensive line. And then in the second round, you could get another pass rusher because this draft is rich in pass rushers. And let's just say, for the sake of it, you have Harold Landry on one side and Darius Smith on the other side. You got a pretty nice defensive line, a nice front 5. And then you have Evans and Brown. That's a pretty nice front 7, if you ask me. So those are just a few of the mock drafts that I saw. I'm trying to take a look at a few more. Trying to see. Let's see. I'm trying to take a look at a couple more. I had one more up, but I can't remember. Okay, this is from Titans Sized. They had a 7-round mock for the Titans. I think in their first mock, let's see what they got going in round 1. Give me just a second. In round 1, they have us taking Jacob Polite in the first round. So I like that pick. Very impressed with Polite, but he has to do better on the run game. Cleveland Farrell's another guy you could take a look at as well. I definitely don't mind that at all with Jacob Polite. That's only if Montez Sweat is off the board. Then, of course, in round 2, they have us taking Michael Dieter, a guard from Wisconsin. And I'll say this, I've been on record. Any Wisconsin lineman is a good pick because Wisconsin, just like Clemson is defensive line U, Wisconsin is offensive line U. You can't go wrong with a Wisconsin offensive lineman because those guys are cornbread-fed North guys. They run block like crazy. and are very balanced offensive linemen. You know, they do a very, very good job up there with their offensive linemen. So I'll be down for that. Let's see. I'm going to take a few more questions before I get out of here. Let's see. Shaolin Fantastic says, Sue, he just bought a place in Alabama. I don't know if that'll help anything, but I mean, yeah, he would be close. Sue wants more than $8 million because of his age. I don't know. We'll have to definitely see. Let's see. I've seen someone, a defensive lineman from Clemson in the mock. That's what I was just talking about. Casserly has us with Dexter Lawrence. Mel Kiper has us with Christian Wilkins. Let's see. Joseph. We need to put Deshaun Watson in the Rock words. Rudy Poo Candy. I agree. Definitely. Let's see. CW said, I think J-Rob should make a trade up for Josh Allen to sign Grady Jarrett or Flowers and a solid number 2. You'd have to give up an overhaul to get up to Josh Allen because Josh Allen's going in the top 5. And that would be way too much to give up. And you could get some good value with some others early. I would say second, third, or fourth round, they're going to address the O-line. Any good nose tackles in the draft that have some Aaron Donald skills. That's something I'm going to look at, as well. I'm going to look at some defensive tackles that could be possible. Jeffrey Simmons could be one if we could pick him up late. Tillery from Notre Dame could be a guy. Draymond Jones. We'll have to see like big nose tackles as possible. But I'm going to definitely take a look at some defensive linemen. Randall says, I see the defense stepping up to the elite level. I think so too. Yeah, it's loaded with defensive line and pass rusher. So I think we're definitely going to get one. But before I get out of here tonight, definitely want to give big ups to Amy Adams Strunk. I think she's having an event on April the 18th. Benefiting the Leukemia and Lymphoma Association. It's like a night with an evening with Amy Adams Strunk. Been very impressed with her of how she's just really she has really been out in the community, been out in Nashville, and she's really been out there and being on the front line as far as just doing some things around Nashville and things like that. She's a big reason why we got the draft. And so I was very impressed with Amy Adams Strunk. And I think that event will be pretty good. I'm going to get some information on that because that might be an event that I may be attending. So I may definitely try to do that. And also be on the lookout for some official news about a big event that I will be helping to do as far as the draft, especially if you're coming in from out of town. More details will be coming hopefully in a couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that as well. Happy belated birthday to the late, great Steve McNair also. And everybody, you know where to find me. On Twitter at TNT Blue Enforcer, on Facebook, TNT Enforcers, Titans and Truth. There's an official page there. And also Chris A. Newell on Instagram at Titans_in_truth. You can check me out there. Also the website, I'm still working on getting that up to par as well. And so other than that, let me see, one other thing. Let's see, it's just crazy what Dean Pease did last year with no outside pass rush. If he has that, deadly. CW, who would have expected the year Jaylen Brown had? That's why I'm a big fan of this coaching staff. In the past 8 years, Titans were not getting the best out of the players. Now they are. I agree. Jaylen Brown should have been in the Pro Bowl. But I think next year, if he has a good year just like this one, he will be in the Pro Bowl without a doubt. So, everybody, that's enough for today. Thank y'all for tuning in to Titans and Truth. Go check me out. I'll put this out. Make sure y'all spread the word. Tell everybody about it. Share this show out. And I will holler at y'all next week as we preview, get ready for the Combine and get ready for free agency. I'm your man, Chris, Blue Enforcer, and I am out. Titan up.